UFC Fight Night 97. BJ Penn returns after losing 3 fights in a row, 2 in a higher weight class, and when he dropped down to 145 pounds and took on Frankie Edgar at the Ultimate Fighter Finale 19, I was there live, and I felt bad for BJ Penn, and that was it. He retired right there, and that was in 2014. He's coming back, and he's coming back at UFC Fight Night 97 versus Ricardo Lamas, who is highly ranked in the featherweight division. Right now, he stands at number 4, right below Max Holloway and right above Cub Swanson. And that's pretty good company. He's very durable, and BJ Penn wants to get up to the top. So fighting Ricardo Lamas is a great way. If BJ can win this fight, he can enter the number 4 spot in that featherweight division by beating Ricardo Lamas. That's the way it works. And Ricardo is a very durable opponent. He's very well-rounded. He's got great escapes, great transitions on the ground. He's got good striking, and he's just really tough. He's tough. He's not too flashy, but he's able to compete with the elite in this division. And he made his jump in the featherweight division when he beat Dennis Bermudez at UFC 180. Had his losses to Chad Mendez and Jose Aldo, and recently to Max Holloway, lost a decision, but proved how tough he was and still is. And BJ Penn, his last fight was in this division, in this 145-pound division, and that's where he left us. That's where he left UFC. That's where he retired, and that's where he's coming back. He's coming back in the 145-pound division. He's not fighting bigger men like Nick Diaz or Rory McDonald. So BJ is adamant about going after a title at featherweight. Now I want to ask you guys, the fans, if you think he's biting off more than he can chew. We saw him back in 2014 lose almost pathetically to Frankie Edgar. Will we see a different BJ now? And we know he came back and he had problems with USADA. Is he going to be able to clear everything and actually get a fight in? Well, BJ Penn was known as a guy with tremendous skills. Skills that were so different that we just couldn't find them in any other fighter. BJ Penn was just a different guy. And he's retired multiple times in his career. And we remember him doing great things, with George St. Pierre and Matt Hughes, but that was a long time ago. Can he bring back his former glory? Can he compete at this division? Or is Ricardo Lamas going to be just too much for BJ Penn? Well, if I can give my breakdown or my prediction, I would say that Ricardo Lamas is going to be too much for BJ Penn. And it's pretty sad to say that, but Frankie Edgar was his real nemesis, and that UFC 112, when BJ Penn lost to Frankie Edgar, that was one of the biggest upsets in MMA history. That was unfathomable at the time, and he never beat Frankie. He had 3 fights with Frankie and never got to avenge that. And he's again fighting a tough opponent. He hasn't fought, chumps or anything like that, BJ. He's only fought the elite, but he's been beaten in a lot of his recent fights. So I'm going to say that Ricardo Lamas is going to be able to either knock out or submit BJ Penn in the first 2 rounds. That's my prediction. Thanks for listening, and I want to know how you feel about it.